How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. So today we're going to be discussing the update to the M18 and what's going on in the Air Force right now. So I have a bit of insight, being that I am active duty military member, a DoD employee. So when I first saw that an airman is being charged with 3 different UCMJ articles, I figured I would share with you what are those and kind of diving in, because the military charges folks differently than the civilian realm. And of course, the verbiage on there is arrest, which technically the military uses the word apprehension under the UCMJ, which is Uniform Code of Military Justice. So there's been 3 accounts that have alleged, of course, that's been brought forth for this individual that's been apprehended. The first one is Article 107, UCMJ related, and that is false official statement, right? False official statement. We'll dive into more details and maybe what that means for the military side of things. And then he's also been charged with Article 131, which is obstruction of justice. And then also Article 119, which is involuntary manslaughter. So, starting from the top. Again, this is alleged, okay? We have to remind everybody, coming from a non-biased perspective. I get it, there's a lot of stuff circulating around, and we're like, oh, this guy did it, 100% he's guilty. He is innocent until proven guilty going through trial by court-martial. Now, of course, there's non-punitive, which we're not gonna really discuss because the charges are escalated so much that he is going to have to go to court-martial for these, he or she, whomever this is. We haven't got official word just yet of who it was, but this individual is going to have to go to court-martial, and he's going to have to be found innocent or, of course, guilty on these accounts. So just because we're talking about these are all alleged. First one, like I said, we're going to discuss is the Article 107, which is false official statement. Okay. Kind of makes sense. False official statement. You made a false statement against the circumstance that occurred. Now, putting some pieces together, of course, which we can kind of speculate is, okay, so an incident occurred with the M18, right? An airman was fatally wounded. And like I said in my last video, I suspected there could have potentially been intent to cover up, and people got really upset with that. My conspiracy theory that someone else sitting in the same room was like, hey, he just, got killed, and now I'm going to kind of try to cover up my mistake. That is what it is appearing to be that happened. And the false official statement specifically ties that in, as in, why would you make a false official statement or a false statement? Hey, at this date, at this time, myself, this occurred, this is what I witnessed, and this is what that individual did. So if you put that down on paper, and then your story changes, and then they have evidence to say that's not what happened, you can get charged with Article 107. And of course, they have enough suspicion to believe that that occurred. Next one is Article 131, so obstruction of justice. All right, so obstruction of justice also kind of goes in the same lines of false official statements, but there's also a caveat added onto it, as in you can physically change evidence, right? So potentially someone could have changed evidence, or this individual may have, again, alleged, right? We're not destroying this person immediately, but alleged with the information we have. Maybe he was the one messing around with, which potentially is accurate, which we'll get to the next charge, but maybe he was messing around with this pistol, had it out of the holster, and it accidentally discharged. He didn't mean to it, and it unfortunately struck another fellow airman and killed him. So now he's going to go, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did this. He realizes this airman's dead, so his voice is the only one locked in this room potentially, right? Because they didn't make any other arrests, so it makes me think, I know where this kind of location is and what the area is, and there's normally 2 people there. So if one individual is no longer able to say what happened, it's all on that individual. So he could have covered up by saying, hey, I'm going to put this, I'm going to look for the shell casing, potentially. I'm not saying this is what happened, but you could put the shell casing back inside, right? Put it back in the holster, and then set the holster down and then elaborate this story of saying he set it down and it shot and all this stuff. And then forensics, of course, are going to see like, okay, residue on the fingers, is there residue in the holster, did it fully eject? Like there's all kinds of stuff that three-letter agencies, specifically OSI, Office of Special Investigation, can do. I'm not going to dive into too much details on that, but they have a lot of assets available to them. So obstruction means potentially tampering. Again, this is all alleged. I do not speak on the Air Force behalf as this is actually what's happening. I'm just literally gathering data from, Air Force Times, and here's what they think happened, and I'm giving my opinion. All right, so this is just my opinion. This is not official on the Air Force. We're just speculating here. Next is Article 119, and that is involuntary manslaughter. So that one kind of seals the deal, is they suspect that they have enough evidence to say that this individual that they charged, there's evidence to say that he accidentally used a weapon system to incapacitate or dispatch a fellow airman by accident, involuntary. Now, those three together, just looking at it, would be like, hey, you lied on a statement, you tried to tamper with evidence, and then it resulted in you accidentally pulling the trigger on someone and killing them. That's like the layman's terms, I guess you could say. Granted, charges can change, all right? Charges can get dropped. Charges can get added. So right now, these are the three that we see and is being publicized right now. So we will see the upcoming events of what's going on. We don't have a name. Granted, we don't even really have an official statement of what happened other than something happened. And then they said, here's the three charges, that are happening, which of course UCMJ and civilian realm are different. That's what I'm trying to fill you in on. So, very interesting stuff going on. Again, I'm not speaking on behalf of the Air Force. I'm just trying to fill civilian folk into kind of the lingo and potentially maybe what happened. Because my last conspiracy theory that I said this probably happened turned out to be correct, which was kind of scary, I guess you could say. So, I'll probably do some updates on this just to fill you in on some of this stuff. Really quick, what is the fate of the M18? Air Force-wise, we are continuing to use it. They were all inspected, and people point to that saying like, oh, well, they inspected them, so they know something's wrong with it. Or they just, like, our leadership took the right mindset and was like, okay, here's our two options. As in, was it accidental? And he accidentally pulled the trigger on this individual, or could it be a firearm issue? If it is a firearm issue, let's just do an inspection on everything really quick. Be done with it, right? Boom. And then we can be sure that our airmen have the proper equipment that is not damaged or having issues with them. So everything got inspected. Everything, for the most part, I haven't heard of anything that came back negatively. Maybe there are. I'm waiting for some data to come back. And then, hey, they sent them all out. So now we're using them again. So, where does this put SIG? More beneficial, especially with these charges, is saying SIG's kind of hands up saying, hey, we told y'all this weapon is safe. And we didn't do it. And here's potential evidence to point to that it wasn't us. It was accidental or involuntary manslaughter. So, I think they're going to also wait, but I think the public perception is so damaged right now, it is going to be very difficult for them to climb out of this, which they may be able to. And I'm not here to be, pro or negative. I'm non-biased right here about the M18. I mean, I'm projecting that. I have my own reservations, of course, but at the end of the day, I still carry this thing, and I got to be proficient with it. So I shoot it a lot. So that's just the name of the game. But in a non-biased perspective, we will have to wait and see what happens to SIG about this. So I'm going to fill you in on a little bit more information coming up too, maybe a couple more updated videos and see what transpires to kind of give you the Air Force and the Army lingo, or, the UCMJ lingo to all of you that may not be in the military, or you're just haven't been in the military for a while and you get rusty at stuff. So again, I'm not a lawyer, not legal advice, but I am fairly knowledgeable on a lot of this stuff because I tend to do this within my career. So other than that, if you guys like this kind of stuff, definitely like, subscribe, greatly appreciate it. This isn't going to be on the B channel or the Prepared Airman 2 channel, just because I don't think it really needs to be on the A channel. But definitely like and subscribe to this channel. It definitely helps out. Other than that, throw your comments in below what you suspect happened, because this is pretty interesting. So we'll see what transpires. Hope y'all have a great day.